I didn't know that asking for money that day would cost me my freedom. If I had stayed silent, if I had walked away, my mother might have died, but I would have been free. Instead, I asked one question. And that question changed my life forever. My name is Amara. I was born poor, raised poor, and by the time my story truly began, I was already tired of begging life to be kind to me. That morning, my mother was coughing blood into an old cloth. Her body was burning with fever, yet her skin felt cold like rain-soaked soil. The village nurse shook her head slowly, the way people do when hope is already leaving the room. She needs proper treatment, the nurse said. Hospital, medicine, tests. I didn't ask how much. I already knew. Money was something my life never allowed me to have. My father had died years earlier, leaving behind debts and silence. I sold vegetables at the roadside, earning barely enough to buy food. Every coin I saved disappeared into small emergencies: hunger, rent, pain. That day, I walked through the town with my mother's weak breathing echoing in my ears. I knocked on doors. I swallowed my pride. I explained and explained again. Most people looked away. Some said, "Come back later." Some said, "We are also struggling." Some didn't open the door at all. By afternoon, my feet were swollen, my throat dry, and my heart breaking. That was when I saw the building. It didn't belong there. Bright walls, clean glass, security at the gate. A modern office standing in the middle of dusty streets like it had fallen from another world. A sign outside read, "Private services, inquiries welcome." I stood there for a long time, arguing with myself. What can they do for someone like me? People like this don't help for free. But then I remembered my mother's eyes, tired, scared, trusting me. So I entered. Inside, the air was cool. Too cool. A woman behind the desk looked at me from head to toe, her eyes stopping on my worn shoes, my faded dress. Before going forward, please like and subscribe my channel where each story bring you a great story about life. Yes, she asked. My voice trembled, but I forced the words out. I need help. My mother is very sick. I was told maybe someone here could lend money. The woman didn't laugh. She didn't shout. She didn't tell me to leave. Instead, she smiled. That should have scared me. She asked me to sit. She offered water. She asked questions: where I lived, how old I was, whether I was alone in the city. Then she said something that made my stomach tighten. "You're lucky," she said calmly. "Someone upstairs is looking for a woman like you." I frowned. "Like me." "Desperate," she replied, still smiling. Minutes later, I was taken to an office upstairs. A man sat behind a wide desk, well-dressed, calm, watching me like I was something he had already decided to own. He listened as I explained about my mother. When I finished, he leaned back and said words I will never forget. "We can give you the money." My heart jumped. But he continued, "Nothing is free." I nodded quickly. "I can work, clean, cook, anything." He smiled slowly. "Yes," he said, "you will work." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Then he added softly, "You just won't be able to leave whenever you want." I should have stood up. I should have run. But all I could see was my mother gasping for breath. So I asked the question that destroyed my life. "How soon can I get the money?" The money arrived faster than I expected. That's when I knew it wasn't help. It was bait. The man didn't ask me to sign papers. That should have been my second warning. Instead, he slid an envelope across the desk. Thick. Heavy. My hands shook as I touched it. I didn't even need to open it to know. This was enough to save my mother. "You'll start tomorrow," he said calmly. "You'll stay where we place you. And you'll follow instructions exactly." I swallowed. "What kind of work?" He smiled again. That same slow smile. "Simple work," he said. "Observation. Reporting. Obedience." I didn't understand, but I nodded anyway. That night, I paid for my mother's hospital admission. For the first time in weeks, I slept knowing she would survive. That relief blinded me to everything else. The next morning, a car came for me. Black. Clean. Silent. The driver didn't speak. We stopped in front of a building I had never noticed before, even though it stood in the heart of the city. Bright glass walls. Security cameras everywhere. The kind of place people pass without really seeing. Inside, they took my phone. For safety, the woman said. I was led to a room with white walls and bright lights. No windows. Just a desk and a screen. A file appeared on the screen. Not mine. Someone else's life. A young woman. Former employee. Notes about her behavior. Her fears. Her mistakes. Even her private conversations. My chest tightened. What is this? I asked. The woman looked at me, surprised, almost amused. This is your job. I read more. At the bottom of the file were 3 words that made my stomach drop. Attempted to leave. I turned to the woman. Leave where? Instead, she said quietly, you are here because you needed money. We helped you. Now you help us. That was when the rules appeared on the screen. Do not ask questions. Do not discuss your work. Do not attempt to leave without permission. My heart began to race. I just want to work and go home, I said. She looked at me with something close to pity. You will, she said. Eventually. Days passed. Or maybe it was only hours. Time behaved strangely inside that building. Every file I read was another person who had once stood where I stood now, poor, desperate, hopeful. And every story ended the same way. Fear. Resistance. Silence. Then one afternoon, I asked the question that sealed my fate. When can I go home? The room went very quiet. The woman leaned closer and whispered, You already did. That night, I realized the money had saved my mother. But it had bought me. And for the first time since entering that building, I understood the truth. They never planned to let me leave easily. The first girl who warned me didn't scream. She didn't fight. She simply vanished. I noticed her because she looked like me. Same tired eyes. Same careful walk. Same way of lowering her voice, as if the walls themselves were listening. She sat 2 desks away, always working, never speaking unless spoken to. One afternoon, our eyes met. She hesitated, then leaned closer and whispered, Don't stay too long. My fingers froze on the keyboard. What? I whispered back. Her lips trembled. This place, it changes people. And when you stop changing, they replace you. Before I could ask anything else, a supervisor appeared. Tall. Smiling. Watching too closely. Is there a problem? He asked. We both shook our heads. The next day, her desk was empty. No name. No file. No explanation. When I asked about her, the supervisor smiled kindly. She completed her service. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the files I had read. The notes. The patterns. Everyone who tried to leave had a final word written beside their name. Uncooperative. The more I worked, the more I realized the truth. This wasn't a job. It was a test. They watched how we reacted to pressure. How we handled fear. Who broke. Who obeyed. And they were watching me closely. One evening, as I was leaving my assigned room, I saw something I wasn't meant to see. A door, slightly open. Inside was a small room filled with screens. Live feeds. People's homes. Streets. Hospitals. One screen froze my blood. My mother. She lay in her hospital bed, breathing slowly. A nurse adjusted her drip. The camera angle was close. Intimate. My knees weakened. They weren't just watching me. They were holding my life hostage. Later that night, the woman from my first day came to see me. You're doing well, she said. Very well. I looked at her. What happens when I finish? She studied my face for a long moment. Some women are released, she said. Some are promoted. And the others? She didn't answer. The next morning, I found a note under my keyboard. Leaving is possible, but it will cost you everything. My heart pounded. I didn't know who left it. I didn't know if it was a trap. But for the first time since I entered that building, hope and fear collided inside my chest. Someone else wanted out. And if they were brave enough to leave that note, they were already in danger. The exit was right in front of me. All I had to do was walk through it. That was when the alarm didn't ring. And I knew I had already lost. I didn't plan my escape. It planned itself. The note stayed in my pocket all day, burning against my skin like a secret that refused to be quiet. Every screen I watched, every file I opened, every polite smile from the supervisors felt heavier than before. They were watching me. I could feel it. At midday, the woman from my first day approached my desk. "Your mother is responding well to treatment," she said casually. My hand shook. "How do you know?" I asked. She smiled. "We take care of our investments." That word, investments, finally broke something inside me. I waited until evening. When the lights dimmed slightly and staff began to leave in small groups, I stood up. My heart beat so loudly I was sure the cameras could hear it. No one stopped me. That was mistake number one. I walked down the corridor toward the main entrance. My feet moved faster with every step. I could already imagine the outside air, the dust, the noise, freedom. I reached the glass doors. They opened. No alarm. No guards. No shouting. I stepped outside. The city stood bright and ordinary, exactly as I remembered it. Relief rushed through me so fast it almost made me laugh. Then my phone vibrated. A message appeared on the screen, a phone I didn't remember getting back. "Look up." I did. Across the street, on a giant digital billboard, a live video played. My mother's hospital room. A nurse stood beside her bed. Too still. Too silent. Another message arrived. One more step, and the camera moves closer. My legs froze. People passed around me, unaware that my life was hanging on a screen above their heads. A final message appeared. "Come back inside." I turned slowly. The glass doors were still open. Waiting. I walked back in. The moment I crossed the threshold, the doors closed behind me with a soft sound that felt louder than a scream. Inside, they were waiting. The man from the first day stood there, calm as ever. "You disappointed us," he said gently. "I just wanted to go home," I whispered. He nodded. "And you will. Eventually." They didn't punish me that night. That was the cruelest part. Instead, they moved me. A new role. A new floor. More responsibility. More access. More chains disguised as trust. Before leaving, the woman leaned close and whispered, "You were close. Next time, we won't warn you." As I returned to my assigned room, I understood the truth. Leaving wasn't impossible. It was designed to fail. And somewhere in the building, someone else was watching me, deciding whether I was worth keeping or worth replacing. Chaos followed. I never looked back. My mother was moved, protected, free. As for me, I vanished. Today, I tell this story so others will listen. Because when someone offers you money without hesitation, when the rules are unclear, when leaving feels harder than staying,